Hello, fifth grade students. This is Jason Brown coming to you with the first of our lessons, doing it virtually. Now, in fifth grade, we always study social studies and history-related topics, so that's what we're going to focus on. And one of the big history lessons we always do right up front is on the idea of citizenship and what it means to be a good citizen. There are obviously many levels of citizenship in our country if we were to focus down to just the United States. And what we're talking about when I talk about citizenship is sort of the broad concept of citizenship. And that means whether you're a born citizen legally recognized in the United States of America as a citizen, you were born here or you've worked to get your citizenship, or if you're someone who's here on an immigration program or a work visa or something like that, all those persons are included in the two sort of topics we're going to look at with citizenship, and the first being rights and the second being responsibilities. So it really doesn't matter what background you have or how you're here in our country or in our communities or even in your schools. What matters is you're a citizen of that place, and there's some responsibilities that you need to follow. Like I said, rights, freedoms that you have, responsibilities, laws that you're called to obey that the government has established. So let's begin by looking at rights. And like we said, rights are just freedoms granted to you by the governing body. And you see my little arrows down below, some rights. Now, when I ask students in class, these are some of the ones that come up the most: the right to vote, drive, career choice, property ownership, things like that. Sometimes in class, I'll even have the students maybe narrow their focus down to, like, say, the school. Because in a sense, you are a citizen at your school. What are the rights that you have there? And the students usually say things like the right to choose if we bring our lunch or buy it at school, the right to choose the tennis shoes we wear, the right to choose the games we play at recess. Things like that are very common. We've been given a lot of these rights. They're wonderful freedoms, and we need to understand that those rights are there. And you need to be aware of what your rights are. Many people don't understand their rights, and they miss out on opportunities because they didn't know they could do something based on what those rights extended to them are. So balanced with the rights are responsibilities. There are laws the governing body calls you to obey. You know, it doesn't take much imagination to say, okay, if we had a culture and a government system where it was nothing but rights, you could do whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted, that our system of the security, I guess, and the structure and the safety of our communities and our world would just start to break down. Think of your school. If you came to school and suddenly there were no rules, that sounds like a lot of fun at first. You know, I can do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about homework. None of those things apply to me now. That sounds fun, but things would get like really out of hand real quick because people would start to do things to you maybe you didn't appreciate or like. You'd try to get the teacher to intervene on your behalf, but she doesn't care anymore because she has rights too. And maybe now suddenly she doesn't feel like caring whether or not you get picked on because that structure is gone that says bullying is wrong. Think about how quickly school would break down. And then just think about that on a cultural idea of your community or the state or the United States. And you see quickly, we need the responsibilities there to balance the rights. They really do just balance each other out. So looking at our freedoms there, we said the freedom to vote. Well, what's the responsibility with voting? You have to be 18. You have to register. You have to have an ID to be able to vote. And just several things along with that go along with voting. So it's not just show up and vote whenever you want. There's a process and legal things that you have to do to be able to vote. What about driving? Well, you have to turn 16. You have to go through the process of obtaining your permit, getting the proper amount of training hours in. Once you do that, you have to get a driver's license. You have to obey the road rules. You have to drive, in a safe manner. What about a career choice? When you look at career choice, there's a lot of great career choices out there. But there are some laws related to a lot of career choices. Well, the number one, whatever job you have when you grow up, you legally have to be a person of integrity. Okay, so if you work as a manager at a store, it's illegal to embezzle or steal money from the company. So if you're going to make a career choice, you have to be a person of integrity. Some jobs require training and certification. As an example, a couple of videos ago, I told you how my daughter is working to get her master's degree at the University of Kentucky. When she goes to work in the social work field, she has to have the proper training and certification. Otherwise, she will not be a social worker. So that's a part of that. Property ownership. Maybe one day you want to own a house, and that'll be awesome. But you have to pay the taxes, you have to use it responsibly. Some homeownerships and associations require you keep your yard clean and you keep your house in proper maintenance and looking good. So there are things like that. Just giving you the basic idea, which isn't hard to understand, that we have a lot of great freedoms in our country, but it is balanced with responsibilities that keep us all safe. And with our 4-H lesson, we always mention the 5 themes of citizenship: honesty, compassion, respect, responsibility, and courage. It's really a foundational sort of, these 5 I think are a foundation for making or creating in yourself a better citizen for yourself and the people around you. You want to be someone who's honest there. You see, honesty is important. Okay, if you can't be trusted, that says a lot. You want to be someone who can be trusted. If the teacher sends you a virtual lesson and says it has to be done, or if she says we're going to have a meeting at this time, please stop, sit, and listen. Well, you need to be an honest person, honest enough to say, hey, I listened, I did the lesson. Because of the distance between home and the classroom where your teacher's at, it might be easy for you to be dishonest and not pay attention like you should or do things as you should. A good student's going to be honest and say, hey, I know I could get away with this, but I'm not going to, because the right thing would be to listen to the teacher, do the assignments as I've been asked. Compassion, compassion is important at home. You're crammed all in there together, maybe with your family and your siblings, because everybody's having to do school at home. Be compassionate with each other. It's going to be tense. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a struggle, but compassion says, I love my family, and I want to make sure that we all get along during this stressful time, and you show compassion to one another. Respect. Now, respect, I always say that if you don't respect yourself, you're probably not going to respect other people, because you probably love yourself more than anyone else. And so if you're not going to respect yourself and want to do right, you're probably not going to respect other people, like your parents or your teacher or people like that. So you want to be a person of respect, and that begins with you, and then that respect sort of flows out to other people. Responsibility, take ownership of your actions. If you do something wrong, fess up to it. Make it right. Don't try to hide it. Don't lie. Don't try to get out of it. Be responsible. Tell the truth, admit it, try to make it right. Being responsible is one of the best characteristics that you can develop, to take ownership of the things you've done, and if need be, like I said, if it's a wrong action, make it right. Courage is important as well, and courage is a great thing to have. Sometimes doing the right thing is hard and difficult, and we teach a lot about courage and having the ability to say, this is what's right, so this is what I'm going to do. Something I've added to the lesson that wasn't in last year's lesson is, with our sort of age of technology, I think it's really important to not only talk about being a good citizen, which you probably have a good grasp on. You've probably been taught what it means to be a good citizen physically in your world since you were, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, whenever that started, hopefully sooner than that even. With that in mind, I want to add to it, because we live in a digital age which requires us to think about digital citizenship. What I'm going to do then is just to add to what we've already talked about by saying, what's it mean to be a good digital citizen? And you see up there it says digital things and places. Places like online things such as technology, electronics are a thing. Your phone, your PlayStation, your laptop, all those things are digital items, and digital places are where you take them. How do we interact with each other? What do we do? How do we treat each other? Where are the places we should or should not go within that digital world? And that's what we're going to look at here. We've kind of already talked about some places as far as digital citizenship. Just to give you a couple of more, you got Canvas, Google Meets. A lot of you are using Google Meets, and that's a place that you're going, especially with meeting with your classes. Email is a form of communication. Not sure if you've had to use that yet, but if you've not, you will one day. Text and messaging. either your text messaging, if you already have a phone, or maybe a Facebook Messenger app that you're using, but that is a form of digital citizenship as far as being an online community. Facebook, Twitter, if you've already got those social media accounts, those are places where you're going to have interaction with people, and you need to know how to act. Now, if you don't have Facebook or anything like that, some of these things might not sound like something that relates to you right now, but don't worry, it will, and you can still learn from some of the things we're going to talk about. Let's go through this responsible actions checklist. And we're going to look at these and talk about them as far as actions of good digital citizens. First one there at the top, I visit sites that are safe and appropriate. The internet's wonderful. It's a great place to find research, watch fun videos, and do things like that. But as you should already know, there are places on the internet that are dangerous, that are violent or explicit, or are things that, you could see things and find things that could do you a lot of harm, and could even go so far as to leave you emotionally and mentally hurt by the images you might see. I am respectful and kind when communicating online. Things in type sometimes are hard to discern what's meant, and so we need to first and foremost make sure that when we're talking to each other, that we make sure that our communication is clear and that the type and language doesn't lead to misunderstanding. Maybe you email your teacher and your wording is real, maybe choppy or abrupt, and she might think you're mad about something. She has to kind of discern that. And so you want to make sure you watch how you say things, how you respond in text to people, things like that. And also you want to understand that sometimes people make mistakes themselves. And so anytime you receive a message and you think, oh, I can't believe mom said that, she's just being mean to me and I'm not doing anything wrong. Well, maybe that's not what mom meant. And you could call her or just reply and say, I'm not sure I understand the feeling in this message. I communicate only with people I know. Don't communicate with people on Facebook or any other places like that if you don't know them. If you're at the park and a stranger comes up to you and starts talking to you and making things feel uncomfortable, you shouldn't talk to them, right? Go get your parents. It's the same way with social media. It's the same way with the online activities. If a stranger messages you and tries to chat you up, you should report them. Take them, show your parents, say, hey, look, I got this message. This person won't leave me alone. I never reveal my family's home address. Don't put personal information of yours on the address. Even where you go, places you've been, your home address, some personal things like that you want to avoid. And then lastly, I never share a friend's private information. You don't want to put them in jeopardy either, or put them in an uncomfortable position, or embarrass them or anything like that. So don't share a friend's private information. All right, more for the responsible actions checklist for digital citizens. The first one at the top left, I think carefully about what I read on the internet and question if it is from a reliable source. It's hard to say what's reliable and not anymore when everything gets called fake news, but we do need to be discerning. And typically you probably know the stuff that is absolutely dumb, because if it sounds dumb or preposterous, it probably is. And so just let it go and don't rely on it as a resource. If you see something you think is legit, research and make sure that it is. Don't post it or share it on your social media, or don't start telling people about it if you don't think it's reliable. And the other thing I would say is a lot of times reliability comes after you've got all the facts. Okay. The news is great about just throwing up a quick, moment that happens in our world without the facts, and people jump on it and start making accusations or assuming that this has got to be the reason why that's happened, and that can be really, really harmful. You should start to think about and gather the facts after a couple of days after all the information is in. Just to jump on a 30-second news clip that suggests that maybe something bad happened, that's not really good. You need to wait and let things work themselves out before you make a decision about whether or not that is actually what happened in those particular incidents. Next one down, I balance my life and my time online and offline. Won't spend a lot of time on that. I know that you should be, from teachers or hopefully your parents, receiving the idea that if you play your Xbox for like an hour, you should take time and go outside for an hour, read a book. Don't spend all your time on your electronic devices. I never call people names online. Calling people names online, being mean, it's easy to do these days. A lot of people do it because it's a computer screen and not talking to that person face to face. So it's easy maybe to put them down or use words that you wouldn't if they were standing there. And not that you should do this, but to me, if you're not willing to say to someone to their face the things you said online, that's pretty cowardly. Next one is I never participate in online bullying. That kind of goes along with the last one. Don't be an online bully. Next one, don't engage in online debates or arguments. I'm not sure to what degree you all do this, but you probably, if you see any kind of adult activity online on social networks, adults love to debate and argue about certain things. And, there's nothing wrong with a healthy sharing of ideas and debating, but oftentimes, not much good comes of it, and it often ends with hurt feelings, especially during the tense times that we've been having. Don't allow electronic devices to distract me from those around me. Probably we've all done it. If you've already got a cell phone or an iPad or something like that where your parents or teachers talking to you and you're engrossed in what you're doing and you're not really interacting with them. And that's not good. So, if you're at school, when you all get back to school and your teacher's talking to you, you need to make sure you're looking up from the Chromebook, looking them in the eyes, listening to your teacher, what she's saying. I give credit when using information I found online. You've got to make sure that you give credit, cite your sources. If you do not have permission to use something, you cannot use it legally, okay? There's a lot of royalty-free pictures and videos and audio clips out there that you can look up and find if you need certain things. But if you do not have permission, don't use that item. If you do have permission, cite the credit. I don't copy someone else's words and say I wrote them, so plagiarism, you probably know that. I won't stay too long on that one. I'm fully aware of the digital history I create. You need to be aware that when you post on social media, a lot of that stuff leaves what's called a digital footprint. And even if you delete that post off, it's still there. And so that stuff can be found. Now, there's a lot of debates about whether or not companies should be allowed to find that information. But say, as an example, Facebook is a public place. And so maybe one day you go for a job interview and the person who's interviewing you, maybe they've looked back at your Facebook history and found a couple posts where you weren't too nice about how much you didn't like your boss. Maybe that could cost you getting the job. Maybe one day you go for that job or that scholarship at the college, and when you go for that, the university that's giving that scholarship, maybe they look at your social media history and see, well, I'm getting the impression this person does more partying than they do focusing on academics. They may not give you that scholarship. And so you want to be careful about what you post or the perception of what those things are you post could be. I don't share things online that will hurt or embarrass others. You don't want to embarrass someone with a goofy picture if you haven't gotten their permission to post it. You don't want to hurt people needlessly with certain posts that may cause unnecessary division or tension. You want to try to stay away from those. Students need to be responsible for their own behavior, whether it's offline or online in this world. As a citizen, you need to be responsible. Like I said before, if you've done something wrong, take it serious. Do your best to make it right. Right? If you've done something wrong with your teacher, go to your teacher, explain it, apologize. Take what you have coming to you. Maybe there's going to be some kind of punishment on a school level that has to happen. And I completely understand if fear would make you want to say, I'm going to hide it, or I'm not going to try to address those situations. But responsible citizens on digital or otherwise know that if you make a mistake or something happens, you need to take responsibility for that. Okay, so it's quiz time. Here's what I need you to do, and you might have to pause this to go do it if it's not right there with you. You need a pencil and a piece of paper, number 1 to 10. Doesn't have to look neat. No one's taking this up. It's just a little quiz here for you to have fun with. We're going to do a digital citizenship quiz. Here's how this is going to work. We are going to read the first question there. Now, your choices are A and B choices. Okay, so you're going to choose A or B. Now, the A or B choice you have is an acted out little skit that you need to decide which is the right digital citizenship action to take. And so again, there'll be the question. There'll be 2 acted out parts, A and B. You're going to decide A and B. And after the two little acted out choices, the A and B, you'll get about 5 seconds to write down the right answer before we progress on to the part where I'll give you the answer and I'll do some explaining about what it is that makes this the right answer and add to some of the things we talked about earlier.
Let's look at the first one. How do you handle a troll on social media? So let's look at our options. Let's see. I can't believe someone would even say that to me. I don't even know who this person is. Man, I worked really hard on this video. I bet if I replied and explained myself, they probably would get it then. Let's see. I can't believe that person would even say that to me. I don't even know who that is. It looks like a troll, all right. Not even going to bother to reply to that. I'm going to report it. So the answer is B. Now, we've all probably had troll issues. A troll is simply someone who will reply to a post just to be mean. Maybe you've done a video and it portrays a great accomplishment that you had. You're really proud of that. And someone you don't even know trashes you. They'll say hurtful things like you're fat or a great job loser, or even worse things like I hope you die. Those are some of the kinder ones. And as much as you want to, don't reply. Trolls want to reply. They want you to defend yourself. Then they feed off of your hurt. So don't give them that satisfaction. Report them. And then obviously, don't be a troll yourself. So number 2, how does a good digital citizen respond to opposing views on social media? Well, let's look at the choices here. Man, we are having an argument right here. Yeah, I can't believe that guy has that political point of view. And things are getting tense, but I've got the perfect response for that point of view. Man, we are having an argument right here. I can't believe that guy has that political point of view. It's getting pretty tense. We could go back and forth with each other all day and probably not change each other's mind. Probably best to just step away for a while. Now the answer here is B. Some people can have disagreements on social media and everyone is fine. But that seems to be rare these days. It's best to try to avoid conversations that could cause arguments online. If you do engage in a discussion that has the potential to be tense, be ready to end the conversation if things get really heated. Now, at your age, maybe you don't have political debates, but maybe it's your favorite sports team or video game or show. Maybe you've been tempted to get into some arguments. So number 3, should you post something on social media that might be hurtful to someone? Let's look at our options.
This picture is just so funny and embarrassing. I'd love to repost it, but maybe I should ask her before I do because it is a little embarrassing. This photo is so funny and embarrassing. I should totally repost it. I don't think she'd mind.
Now, the answer here is going to be A. Maybe you and a friend took a picture that is kind of odd, embarrassing, or funny, and you think, well, it's not a big deal to post this on social media. Now, it's best to ask the person's permission first or not post it at all. Most of those kinds of pictures are innocent, but perhaps the other person might not think so. You don't want hurt feelings to come from something like a social media post. And that goes for other things that might hurt feelings. Maybe you find a meme that is funny, but it's a little edgy, a little risque. Now, it might not be racist or sexist or any of those things that would make it immediately bad, inappropriate, don't post that, but it's a little risque. You need to stop and think, could this hurt other people's feelings or cause tensions? Number 4, would a good digital citizen steal pictures, songs, or other types of property online? This is some good music. I need to find me a site where I can rip this music off. Should pay, but it's $1 a song. What artist is going to miss that? This is some good music. Yeah, I need to find a site where I can get this music. It'd be easy to rip it, but you know what? People work hard and it's their property, so I need to pay for it. The answer here is B. Online property is easy to steal. Songs, pictures, other media can be ripped off pretty easily. And it's wrong, and you need to pay for it. It's easy to think it's just a dollar song. That can't be something someone will miss. Well, first thing, dollar amount doesn't dictate if something's wrong as far as stealing. Wrong is wrong no matter the dollar amount. And if you and everyone else is stealing, well, that adds up pretty fast. And for many people who are artists or musicians, they rely on that income and they need it. Plus, money aside, it's their personal work and you have no right to just take it without permission. And this also means if you want to use music or pictures for a presentation, you have to acquire permission from the artist. Number 5, do good digital citizens let people around them go ignored and disrespected?
So how's your semester going?
Well, so far it's been going pretty good. I got a practicum/job at my at UK Student Support Services, and the reading and like the assignments for class are a little bit harder, but I'm still doing pretty good at them.
So how's your semester going?
Good.
So you liking your new job with SSS?
Yeah.
I guess you plan to drop out and live under a bridge, right?
Yes.
The answer here is A. Now, I've done it, maybe you as well. Someone is physically talking to you in conversation, but you're too busy staring at your phone. And it's rude, and depending on who you're talking to, it could mean trouble. Mom, dad, your teacher, your future employer, they don't appreciate you ignoring them. And don't play the whole idea of, well, I can do both. I heard them, even though you weren't really looking at them, because it's not really so much about whether or not you heard them and can multitask. It's about respect. Number 6. You receive an email or text in which the feelings of the person are not clear. What should you do? Well, let's see what our 2 scenarios are.
Oh, got an email. I wonder what he means by that. Well, if he's going to be rude, I'm going to be rude back to him. Oh, got an email. I wonder what he means by that. I better call him and clarify what he meant.
Okay, so the answer here is B. Any information from someone in type can often hide from us the emotional intent. Are they mad? Are they sad? Are they suggesting something that I can't understand in the type alone? The best thing to do is to talk to them physically to clarify what the digital message meant. Number 7. Would a good digital citizen make a private issue public? Let's see what we should do.
This guy going on Facebook and posting about me, I'm totally going to post back. Some people just think the world revolves around them and they think they can do whatever they want. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. This guy, I can't believe him, but you know what? I'm just going to close the app and I'm going to ignore it and I'll call him later and we'll have a nice face-to-face chat.
So the answer here is B. A private disagreement should always be handled privately. Posting on social media how someone has upset you is not respectful. And hey, sometimes the other person, maybe they really deserve it, but don't do it. Go to them, talk it out just between you. To me, nothing cheapens your character as a person more than to blast someone on social media for everyone to see. Number 8, should you put private information on your social media that might cause safety and security issues?
Better not post anything about my vacation. I can post some great pictures when I get back. I am so excited about my vacation. I will be gone Monday to Friday. Mom, if you were reading this post, I left a secret key under the landscape statue of St. Francis out front.
The answer here is A. Never share personal information on social media on that level. On social media, there are some great friends, but there are also some terrible people. And whether it's an adult posting vacation plans or you as a young person maybe posting your location at certain times or maybe posting that your parents aren't home at the time, you need to be careful because things can happen. And social media is a place where people can see what's going on, and you can accidentally create security issues and put yourself in an unsafe position. Number 9, good digital citizens know posts from the past can be found by anyone, which is the person you want to be. So in the two scenarios, what's the better person or the better outcome that you hope to have? Hey, Bill. Yeah? Great. That is great news. Thank you so much for the recommendation. It sounds like they were pretty thorough. They checked a lot of things. Even Facebook, you say? Wow, they were digging, weren't they? Well, it's good to know that I got the position. Thank you so much for your recommendation. Hey, Bill. Hey, how's things going? Hey, once again, thank you so much for that recommendation. Yeah, I'm really excited about the interview process. They were pretty thorough, huh? Sounds like it. What do you mean they're not wanting to go any further with me? They checked my Facebook page and found some information they didn't like? Oh, well, Bill, you know that previous employer I worked for, they were no good. You knew I had problems with them. It was all on them. Yeah, I hate to hear that. All right, Bill, well, thanks again for the recommendation. Here is A. Now, posts on social media, even deleted ones, can still be found. Now, there are many debates about whether or not a company should judge you based on seemingly innocent posts on social media, or if they have the right to look at those items and hold them against you if they're looking at you as a potential employee. But social media is a public place, and the fact remains that oftentimes they are watching. And so you should consider what you post and how it might be interpreted. Now, you're not at an age that you are job hunting yet, and so that might not be something that you are concerned with at this point. But one day you will be. Or one day you'll be trying to be a part of getting scholarships or whatever you might be doing in the future. And who's to say some of these places won't look back at your social media and decide what kind of character you have and who you are as a person. So you want to be careful. Number 10, should good digital citizens share information that seems to be false?
Wow, iGossip says that aliens will be here at noon to take over the world. That must be true. I'm gonna share that. iGossip posts that aliens will be taking us over at noon. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check my sources before I can make a post.
So the answer here is B. Now, I know fake news is a buzzword that's flying around a lot lately, and it's applied to everything from proper, well-documented information to things that are absolutely false. And everyone, though, probably has been tricked into believing something that's not true. And so we all need to be careful about what we share and believe. Check your sources. There are sites out there that are as ridiculous as ilovegossip.com. If it's a site like that, clearly you're probably going to know that it's not true. Okay, so here at the end, I want to do a little 4-H enrollment talk. 4-H enrollment is free, and I think we've already covered that. Some programs do have some small fees to participate, but most of our programs, 85% of our programs, are absolutely free. And the first step and the best way to begin your 4-H experience is to enroll. So check out this link to do so. I'll put this link in the bottom in the comments section for you to be able to grab. And even if you're not currently interested in 4-H programming, enroll anyway. It's free, so why not do it? But also, if you're already enrolled, when a potential program comes along that you want to do, you're not going to miss out because there's some deadlines and certain things that are related to programs that if you've already enrolled, it'll make it that much easier for you to get involved and be a part of. 4-H newsletter. So every month you're going to get a 4-H newsletter because of our social distancing. You're going to get it electronically. The teacher will send you a link to look at when I send it to your teacher. If you don't get the link, you can go to the site here and look at the current newsletter. I will post the link in the bottom in the comments section for you to be able to grab that if you don't have the link already. Our newsletter is the best way to keep up with enrollment deadlines, dates, information for 4-H camp, information about 4-H clubs, and summer programs. So you definitely want to look at the newsletter and make sure your parents see it as well. Again, my name is Jason Brown, 4-H Program Assistant, Boone County Extension Service. If you need to contact me, if your parents want to contact me about programs or things related to 4-H, you can email me, you can call the office, and we can get you set up or get you the information that you need. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys have a great rest of your month, and we'll talk to you next month.